Shalom to the elect of Israel, the hopeful elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indian, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises to Yahweh, all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakah, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the Akim, pushing this truth throughout the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hopeful elect. Shalom to the Agwaf who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Isaiah, coming into another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. And this is when white supremacy overthrew a government. This is a video on how these Edomites did you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay, so Lord witness be edifying. This is the wickedness of Esau Edom. Okay, the so-called white man.
For a long time, if you went to the library in Wilmington, North Carolina, there was one thing you weren't allowed to research.
We were refused. We were rejected by the librarian.
When I asked about or inquired about 1898, they wanted to know why.
I was told that yes, they had something, but they kept it under lock and key.
The story of Wilmington in 1898 still isn't widely known.
What happened here on what's now just this empty patch of grass would radically change racial politics in North Carolina.
This is the story of an American election, but also of something we don't usually find in American history: the violent overthrow of a democratically elected government. In the late 1800s, Wilmington, North Carolina was the state's largest city. It had a majority black population, and historians today describe it as a rarity in the post-Civil War American South.
Wilmington, prior to November 1898, was what the New South could be at the cusp of the 20th century.
There was an unusual degree of black prosperity.
In Wilmington, there were successful black entrepreneurs, doctors, teachers, but also black elected officials. And for a time, that was true throughout the state. Take a look at the politicians on this poster of the 1889 North Carolina House of Representatives. Here at the bottom are black Republican representatives, some from Wilmington. North Carolina also sent 4 black Republicans to the U.S. Congress between 1875 and 1899. The Democratic and Republican parties of 1898 in many ways occupied opposite parts of the political spectrum than they do today.
Most African Americans were voting for the Republican Party, and the Democratic Party was white voters almost exclusively. White supremacy was the central focus of the platform for the Democratic Party.
Republicans in North Carolina were successful in part because of a third party called the Populist Party, made up of mostly white farmers fed up with the tough economic times. North Carolina populists joined up with Republicans to form what they called the Fusion Party. And in the elections of 1894 and 1896, the Fusion Party defeated the Democrats in sweeping victories statewide. That meant North Carolina now had a government that shared power between black and white politicians, including a newly elected Republican governor. Together, they moved towards reforms that would favor black Americans and working class whites.
This was something that the Democratic Party folks were simply not going to accept.
A multiracial government wasn't just a disappointment for Democrats. It was more like a humiliation. They needed a plan to take back control of the state in the next election. So party leaders like Furnifold Simmons, future U.S. Senator, Charles Aycock, future North Carolina governor, and this man, Alfred Moore Waddell, came up with one: to beat the Fusion Party by luring white populist voters away from their alliance with black voters. Wilmington, with a large black population and a local fusion government in power, would be a focus of their campaign. The state Democratic Party handbook for 1898 laid out their goal: consolidate the white vote by stoking white anger and resentment. It said, "This is a white man's country, and white men must control and govern it." Their most effective tool was the media. One of North Carolina's biggest newspapers was a Democratic Party mouthpiece. It ran racist political cartoons throughout 1898.
Not everybody was literate in 1898, but to see a political cartoon of the type that ran, you may not be able to read it, but you know exactly what it means.
Many of the cartoons were centered on the threat of Negro rule, even though the fusion government was mostly white. They also played up another fear.
Black men threatening white women became a thing. White men need to do all that they can to protect white
Which was a
women.
bunch of lies, man.
This was all part of North Carolina Democratic strategy, but it echoed the national racist rhetoric of the time. In one speech that Democrats printed in a Wilmington paper, a prominent Georgia writer named Rebecca Felton said,
If it takes lynching a black man a day to protect white womanhood, I say lynch.
And see, this was the thing with these devils, man. Okay? They are a bunch of lies, man. Like Job 13:4 say, man. They are all forces of lies. They are all physicians of no value, man. Okay? Isaiah, Psalms 58:3, man. Soon they come out of the womb speaking lies, man. Soon they be born. This is the wicked, man. Okay, and they did the same thing with Emmett Till, man. With this Edomite lady lied and said that he touched her or whatever, man. Okay? The same way they took down Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, man. What did they do? They used the Edomite woman and said that a Jake had touched her or whatever supposed to have been did to the Edomite woman, man. And they burnt it down, man. These devils, this is the devil, man. Okay? That's why the Lord said, never trust thy enemy, man.
Her speech prompted a Wilmington black man named Alex Manley, owner of the Black Run Daily Record newspaper, to respond with a column. He made a simple observation that, at the time, was shocking.
That white women who had liaisons with black men did so voluntarily and enthusiastically.
Manley wrote, "Every Negro lynched is called a big burly black brute, when in fact many were sufficiently attractive for white girls to fall in love with them."
Manley pretty much said, in a nutshell, sometimes white women choose to be with black men.
Manley's editorial became another tool for Democrats. Newspapers reprinted it, called it a horrid slander, and ran comments about it on a daily basis. It was just a few months before the election, and white voters were angry.
By the time the election rolls around on November 8th, black voters, Republican voters, had been thoroughly intimidated here.
By all accounts, the elections of 1898 were a sham. The Democratic Party had a paramilitary group called the Red Shirts. They attacked and blocked black residents from voting. At a rally just before the election, Alfred Moore Waddell provoked the crowds. He said, "Negro office holding ought at once and forever be brought to an end, even if we have to choke the current of the Cape Fear River with carcasses."
See that?
The votes were counted, and the Democrats won.
Democratic
devils,
candidates
man.
won every seat they had a candidate up for election in.
But some local fusionist politicians remained in power because their seats hadn't been up for re-election, like the white Republican mayor and the Board of Aldermen. And of course, the election did nothing to undo the economic power black folks held in the city. The Democrats had won the election, but their goal of total white supremacist control remained out of reach.
And so they engineered what was essentially a coup d'etat.
The day after the election, at a gathering for white men in Wilmington, the Democrats unveiled a document called the White Declaration of Independence. It contained an ultimatum. Cynthia Brown, whose descendants were in Wilmington back in 1898, is a historian at the church where there's a preserved copy of the declaration from the next day's newspaper.
We will no longer be ruled and will never again be ruled by men of African origin.
They would strip black men of voting rights. They would give white
Wow.
men a large part of the employment heretofore given to black men. And as for Alex Manly, we demand that he leave this city forever within 24 hours. The next morning, hundreds of white men marched to the offices of the Daily Record. Manly was gone. He had fled to save his own life. They set the Daily Record building on fire. This is where it once stood.
See, this is what them devils do, man. Okay? This is what you devils do, man. This is Jeremiah 51:19. The portion of Jacob is not like them. Who? The Edomites, man. And the heathen nations. For he is the form of all things, man. See, they had destroyed Jacob. Jacob was finna take over, man. Which it was the prophecy, it is the will of your heavenly Father Yahweh. Because it wasn't our time to raise up, man. Okay? Because we can't save ourselves. We done had Marcus Garvey. We done had the Black Panthers. We done had Malcolm X. We done had Martin Luther King. We done had Black Wall Street. None of these things was going to work. No way, man. Because it's the will of the heavenly Father Yahweh, man. Okay? But it's showing you how wicked these devils is, man. These Edomites don't want you Jakes. So you Jakes out there think you're going to be able to be entrepreneurs, right? And separate yourself from the Edomites. They ain't having that, man. This is Jeremiah 51:19. The portion of Jacob is not like them. Who? The Edomites and all other heathen nations, man. For he is the former of all things, man. Israel is the rod of his inheritance. The Lord of hosts is his name. The Lord of armies is his name, man. Okay, Yahweh, man. You Edomite, you Jakes want to be joined to these Edomites, man. These Edomites hate your guts, man. Like the Lord said in Isaiah 13:15, anyone that's joined to them, you're gonna fall by the sword, man. These devils hate you, and they're not gonna let you prosper unless they have control over it, man, and they can put a cap on you.
Stood.
Once the white leadership destroyed Alex Manly's printing press, they destroyed one way in which the African American community in Wilmington could organize itself and keep itself informed.
At City Hall, the mayor and board of aldermen were forced out.
There's 200 armed men in City Hall at the time. They didn't do it of their own free will. And as they resigned, a new member selected by the Democratic Party was voted into office.
Waddell, who once threatened to fill the Cape Fear River with black bodies, was the new mayor of Wilmington. Meanwhile, the mob had grown to about 2,000 men, and the violence spilled into the streets. In these photos, X's mark where the first black residents were killed.
The stories are that they
Wow.
were dumped into the river. And there are varying stories about how many people were killed.
I see 40 to 60 clearly as fatalities as a result of the violence, but I think it was higher.
Many black residents hid for days in the swamps and the wooded cemeteries in the city, including Cynthia's great-grandmother. And thousands of other residents fled Wilmington, never to return. Shortly afterward, Democrats printed booklets celebrating a glorious victory, and in the newspapers depicted black residents as the instigators.
This image is a gross misrepresentation of what actually happened during 1898.
You lying
what
ass
you see is
devil.
African American men with guns, not white men with machine guns.
Lying ass
The
fucking
city
devils,
never
man.
regained its black majority population. Jim Crow laws like literacy tests and poll taxes that prevented black people from voting were immediately enacted.
Right.
And Wilmington's spirit of black opportunity was crushed. Black political representation in the state was over. It would be 90 years until North Carolina elected its next black Congress member.
Wilmington did a really great job of covering up a very dark past for a very long time.
Yes, they
Over
did.
the years, the textbooks on North Carolina's
Them
history have
devils-
struggled to accurately
Man.
describe what happened in 1898.
That's why the Lord gonna destroy you
This
devils,
one from
man.
1933 says the situation was unfortunate for both races. And this one from 1978 doesn't have that much more detail.
but they both praise Charles Aycock, a politician who helped perpetrate the riot. They say he had a keen mind and a kind heart, and that, in fact, he was one of the best friends that the colored people had in the state. It's a legacy that North Carolina has yet to fully undo. The names of the perpetrators are on Wilmington's school buildings and city parks. But the legacy is also bigger than those names. Turn on the news, and the state's long history of political suppression echoes.
To a strict new voter ID law in North Carolina, racial gerrymandering, and a push for new voting maps.
The court says the Republican-led legislature redrew congressional districts along racial lines, violating the Constitution.
There's a tremendous amount of intimidation that is still felt by the Black community.
It doesn't have to be mass mayhem and violence in the streets.
The strategy shifts towards designing state laws in such a way that you could exclude blacks from voter participation.
The subliminal pursuit of continuing the white Declaration of Independence.
And if you don't see it for what it really is, it can happen all over again.
And hey, that's you devils, man. Okay? That's you devils, man. You Edomites gonna pay, man. You Edomites gonna pay, man. This is Exodus chapter 21 and verse 16. And it reads, and you devils gonna pay, man. Exodus chapter 21 verse 16, and it reads, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. The Edomites stole us, okay, and sold us, and we are still found in your hands, man, okay? Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 21. You devils got a lot to pay for, man. You devils got a lot to pay for, man. Isaiah chapter 14 verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquities of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will raise up against them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name, and remnant, and son, and nephew, saith the Lord Yahweh. Hey, you devils got a lot to pay for, man. And you're gonna be destroyed for it, man. This is Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Be not deceived, for power is not marked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to the flesh, shall of the flesh reap corruption. But he that soweth to the Spirit, shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. You devils have sowed none but corruption. And what you're going to get? Corruption, man. That's why I say the worms shall cover you. Okay? In Isaiah 14. The worms shall cover you devils, man. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with power to recompense tribulation to them that troubled you, man. Who troubled us? The so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans. You Edomites, man. And to you who are troubled, rest with us. Who are troubled? The so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. When the Lord Yahweh shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not power, and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahweh Mashiach, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power. Okay? So you devils, you got a lot to pay for, man. You devils got a lot to pay for, man. And you will pay. This is Colossians chapter 3, verse 25. But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done, and there is no respect of persons. You devils gonna pay for everything that you did to Jake, man. Okay? You done rape, rob, murder, pillage, and you done destroyed Jake, man. Burnt down everything, man. Okay? How do you get everything, man? By robbery and deceit, man. And what you did, you frame of mischief by law, man. Okay? Matter of fact, this is Psalms chapter 94. Hey, you devils gotta damn pay, man. You devils gonna pay, man. Psalm 94 and verse 20. Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frame of mischief by law? That's what you devils do, man. Okay? You deceive, man. Woe to him that decree unrighteous decrees. Right? You change the ordinances, broken the everlasting covenant, man. You devils don't do nothing but take and take, man. You done destroyed nations, man. This is Habakkuk chapter 2. And verse 5. It reads, verse 4, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, you Edomites, but the just shall live by faith, the elect of Israel. Yet also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desires here and is as deaf, cannot be satisfied. But gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people, man. You devils gonna play, man. Verse 8 say, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, and of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that covereth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high. And that's you Edomites to the T, man. That he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul, man. You devils, man. You got a judgment day. You got a judgment day, man. You got a judgment day that's worse than any other nation, man. This is Micah chapter 2, verse 1. Woe to him that devises iniquity, you damn Edomites, and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And that's what you Edomites did, man. Okay? And Wilmington, North Carolina, man. 1889, man. That's what you devils did, man. You found the way to take Jake out of rulership, man. Which ultimately is the Heavenly Father Yahweh that did it, because it wasn't time for Jake to raise up. But you devils, man. Micah 2 and 2. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses, and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. Therefore thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, against this family do I devise iniquity, do I devise evil. What family? The Edomites. For which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall you go haughtily, for the time is evil. In that day shall one take up a parable against you, and lament with a doleful lamentation, and say, we be utterly spoiled. He hath changed the portion of my people. How have he removed it from me? Turned away, he hath divided our fields. Therefore thou shalt have none that shall cast a cord by lot in the congregation of the Lord. You devils, it's done, man. Okay? This is Psalms 49. You devils got to pay, man. Psalms 49 and verse 11. And it reads, their inward thoughts is that their houses shall continue forever, and their dwelling places to all generations. They call their lands after their own names. You devils You devils, man. In verse 13 say, this their way is their folly, yet their posterity approveth their sins. It said, like sheep, they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them, and the upright shall have dominion over them in the morning. Who is the upright? The elect of Israel, man. The Hebrew Israelites. It say, like sheep, they are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them. Now I got a precept for that. It say, death shall feed on them. This is Isaiah, right? 14 and verse. Let me find it. Oh, Isaiah 14 and 9. It reads, hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. It stirred up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. Who are the chief ones of the earth? You Edomites, man. So going back into Psalm 49 and verse 14, like sheep they are laid in the grave, death shall feed on them. That's why the Lord said this, man, Isaiah 14 and 9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. What's that hell? Right here, man. Hey, these scriptures link up perfectly, man. Psalms 49 and 14. Like sheep, they are laid in the grave. What is the grave? Hell, man. Condition. Okay? The grave is hell, a condition, judgment, man. Again, read this again. Psalm 49 and 14. Like sheep, they are laid in the grave. Isaiah 14 and 9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. The grave. Okay, that's your hell. Now going back to Psalm 49, it say, death shall feed on them. Again, Isaiah 14 and 9. It stirred up the dead for thee, even all thy chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from thy thrones all the kings of the nations. Okay? You Edomites, man. It say, let sheep, like sheep, they are laid into the grave. They are laid in the grave. Death shall feed on them, and the upright shall have dominion over them in the morning. Okay? What is saying in Daniel's? Let's read it, man. Daniel 7:18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Back in Psalm 49. And their beauty shall consume in the grave from their dwellings. But Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua will redeem my soul from the power of the grave, for he shall receive me. You devils is as death and hell, man. And it said what? Hey, man, Isaiah 14 and 9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming, man. It stirreth up the dead for thee, man. That's Psalm 49 and 14, man. That's you Edomites. This is Psalms 73 and verse Salakia. This is Job 21 and 13, and it reads, they spend their days in wealth and in a moment go down to the grave. Okay? Oh, matter of fact, let me get this. Psalm 37, Psalm 37 and verse 15. Matter of fact, this is fire. This is Psalm 37 and verse 14. The wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy, and to slay such as be upright conversation. Their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. You devils is going down, man. Thus saith Yahweh, man. A little that a righteous man have is better than the riches of many wicked. For the arms of the wicked shall be broken, but the Lord upholdeth the righteous. The Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. They shall not be ashamed in the evil time. What's the evil time? The time of Jacob's trouble, man. Okay? And in the days of famine, they shall be satisfied. But the wicked shall perish, and the enemies of the Lord Yahweh shall be as the fat of lambs. They shall consume into smoke. They shall consume away. Okay? They shall consume away, man. Let's get that. Let's get that prophecy, man. Obadiah. You devils is going to consume away into smoke, man. This is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 18. And it reads, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. For the Lord Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, have spoken it, man. You devils is going to be destroyed for what you have done to the Hebrew Israelites, man. Okay? Isaiah 14 and 22. Oh, no, I read that. Jeremiah chapter 49. Jeremiah 49. Let me see. Jeremiah 49 and 10. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not, man. You devils is going to be wiped off the face of the earth, man. This is Job chapter 27. Job 27 and 13. This is the portion of a wicked man with power, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. You devils is going down for the wickedness that you have done throughout the four corners of the earth, man. And you have destroyed Jake on every side, man. But guess what? Payback is going to be something serious, man. This is Job 18. Let me start at 5. I said, yet the light of the wicked shall be put out, and the spark of his fire shall not shine. The light shall be dark in his tabernacle, and his candle shall be put out with him. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. Your own counsel, who? The other Edomites, the Russians, okay? Amalek. What did it say? The least of the flocks draw them out, man. Okay, your own counsel, man. The people, and not just the Edomites, everybody that you got part of the UN, EU and NATO, they're going to cast you down, devil. For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. The gin shall take him by the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid up for him in the ground, and a trap for him in the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. It shall devour the strength of his skin. Even the firstborn of death shall devour his strength. Who's the firstborn of death? Yahushua, man. His confidence shall be rooted out of his tabernacle, and it shall bring him to the king of terrors. Who's the king of terrors? Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua. It shall dwell in his tabernacle, because it is none of his. Brimstone shall be scattered upon his habitation. That's the missiles, man. His root shall be dried up beneath, and above shall his branches be cut off. His remembrance shall perish from the earth, and he shall have no name in the streets. He shall be driven from light into darkness, and chased out of the world. He shall neither have son nor nephew among his people, nor any remaining in his dwellings. That's you devils, man. You so-called white people, you Edomites, will be destroyed, man. Thus saith the Lord, man. Okay? And so with that, I gotta give all praise to Yahweh. Bahashem Yahweh Shah. Bahashem Kakodash. Oh, got a couple more precepts before I close out. This is Jeremiah chapter 30, verse 16. And it reads, therefore, all that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, all you 17 heathen nations, shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord Yahweh, because they called thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, who no man seeketh after. Behold, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob tents, and have mercy on his dwellings, on his dwelling places, and the city shall be builded upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. Okay, so all you devils, okay, that's joined to Esau's counsel, all you heathen nations is going to slavery, man. Now this is Exodus chapter 20, verse 5. And this was talking about Israelites, but it's also talking about you Edomites as well. Or any other nation for that matter. Okay, because we come back in reincarnation every third or fourth generation. Exodus 20 and 5. For I, the Lord Yahweh, thy power and my jealous power, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Now this is talking about Jakes, but it's also talking about you other heathen nations too, mainly you Edomites, okay? The Lord say, visited the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation, okay? What iniquity? Exodus 21 and 16. He that stealeth a man and sells him, right? Well, if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Let's get it. Isaiah 14 and 21. And it reads, again, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. Okay? Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers. The Lord said he do what? He visits the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation. Okay? Now, let's move on. This is Numbers, chapter 14, verse 18. For you devils, man. Numbers 14 and verse 18. And it reads, the Lord is long-suffering and of great mercy, forgiving iniquity and transgressions, and by no means clearing the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation, man. Okay? Let's further get clarity on that, man. This is Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 4, and it reads, behold, all souls are mine, as the soul of the Father, so also the soul of the Son is mine. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. Okay? Ezekiel 18 and verse 20. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. The Son shall not bear the iniquity of the Father, neither shall the Father bear the iniquity of the Son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. What that's telling you, the Lord say that he visited the iniquity of the father to the children, to the third and fourth generation. It say right here what? The Son shall not bear the iniquity of the Father, neither shall the Father bear the iniquity of the Son. Why? Because you are your forefathers back in reincarnation, man. Okay? The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him. So if you were wicked back then, you're going to be wicked now. Okay, if you was a slave master back then, you're a slave master now. Okay, point blank period, man. You're a slave master, or you the son of a slave master. Okay, so you are your forefathers, and you shall pay the iniquity of you or of yourself back in reincarnation. This is Jeremiah 32:18. And it reads, Thou showest loving kindness unto thousands, and recompense the iniquity of the fathers into the bosom of their children after them. The great, the mighty power, the Lord Yahweh of hosts is his name. Again, Jeremiah 32:18. Thou showest loving kindness unto thousands, and recompense the iniquity of the fathers into the bosom of the children, of their children after them. So guess what? That means you are your forefather coming back in reincarnation to get this judgment, man. This is Job, chapter 34. And verse 29. And it reads, Job 34:29. When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? When the Lord giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? The Edomites. Okay? They can make trouble, but the Lord had to give it quietness, meaning he ain't gonna make no move. That's why he said they thought they was all together such as himself. Okay? When he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? Which is no one. No one can make trouble when the Most High give it quietness. But if he get them, he let the wicked do what they do because they are his sword. It reads, and when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Nobody. He said in Hosea 5:15, he will go and hide his face to Israel, seek him. And his holy, seek the Heavenly Father holy name, right? So when he giveth quietness, who then can make trouble? Nobody. Okay, unless he choose to. And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? No one, man. Okay, but he set it up so the elect can seek his face. Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only. Okay, whether it be done against a nation or man only. And he judged Israel as a whole. He's going to judge you Edomites as a whole. He's going to judge you Ishmaelites as a whole. You Ammonites as a whole. Okay? You Moabites as a whole. And you Hamites as a whole. And you Elamites as a whole, man. He's going to judge you nations as a whole, man. Okay? Again, Job 34:29. When he give his quietness, who then can make trouble? And when he hideth his face, who then can behold him? Whether it be done against a nation or against a man only. So with that, giving all praise to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Rakakodash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach well, and a sincere salutation to all the Akim, pushing the truth throughout the four winds of the earth, working up the whole elect. Shalom, and death to you Edomites.